So we have worked through strength in our posture. We've worked towards understanding how to move by maintaining our strength, or move while maintaining our strength. How to reorient our structure so that we can deflect lines of force that would be inappropriate for us to challenge, and how to challenge lines of force or directions of force that would be appropriate for us to challenge. We also spent the last several videos thinking very deeply about what it means to be strong and to be weak, to know that when someone is weak, that we need to challenge their direction of force, and when they're strong, that we need to redirect or deflect their direction of force, taking our bodies out of the way and taking our swords out of the way so that we can regain a strong position. So, and we've also spent a little bit of time talking about the internal rhythm of each of the actions. So we said that the sword should move first. The sword should pull our body into motion. So none of our actions begin by bringing our body into the action, followed by our sword. That we're always leading with our sword and letting the sword pull our body forward, either by pulling our hip forward or maintaining the orientation of our hips. And we've talked about when it's appropriate to respond. At certain instances are moments where our opponent is weakening, but actively weakening. That they're performing an action with the intent to strengthen. So as they weaken on one side, they're setting themselves up to be strong on another. And that it's those moments, it's inside that action, as long as we've established a good strong position, that we can respond with a proportionately smaller action that keeps us in control of the fight. We should never treat our training partner as somebody who is just going to stand there and do nothing. Right? They want to win. Our training partner wants to win the exchange as much as we do. And so they're going to work towards winning. And if we only train actions that require them to do nothing, then we're not going to be equipped to deal with someone who actively works against us. When our opponent weakens, they're not weakening for no reason. They're weakening to strengthen. And we have to be ready to deal with that. As long as we're in a strong position, we should be equipped to, but only if we know what to do in those situations, how to maintain our strength. So part of that is to understand what it means to work inside with feeling. So feeling is something deeper and more profound than just, I see this thing and I do this other thing. That's sort of like an if-then code on a computer. An if-then statement in a line of computer code. It's very robotic. It's not responsive to different changes. I have to capture all of the changes. I can't just expect that my opponent planned one thing, and so if I choose the correct course of action, I'll be able to hit. I have to be constantly engaged with feeling all of the changes that my training partner is making. So we call that feeling, or Fuhlen, the word in the tradition of Kunstfechtens. This idea that I'm constantly tethered to the motion of my opponent. That I'm constantly aware of all of the changes as he's making them. Now, I can't do that if I allow myself to move faster than my opponent. Right? So if I see my opponent begins to move to the right and I want to follow him, so I move to the right. But he's slowly moving to the right and I explode past him because I want to move faster and stronger. Well, then I've left him behind. In the case of swordsmanship, I left his sword in the middle, where it could be a threat to me, where he can regain inside position. And so I can only move as fast as my opponent is moving. And that means I have to have an awareness of what my opponent is doing. My favorite anecdote, my favorite description of this concept is actually not a swordsman at all. He was a horseman. He was an instructor of horsemanship, or a founder of a school of natural horsemanship named Tom Dorrance. And he was asked about timing and balance. And he said, it was like holding a broomstick on your finger. If you hold a broomstick on your finger and you allow it to tip to one side, if you wait for it to tip and then you say, oh, it's tipping left, I have to move my hand to the left, you're going to be too late. And if you feel it gradually tipping to the left and you explode out to the left to catch it, then you're going to be too early and it's going to fall down the other way. You have to tether yourself to the center of gravity of the broomstick. And as it begins moving to the left, you follow it gradually and slightly without disrupting its balance. And in this way, if it changes course, you'll be able to readjust and constantly readjust. And you enter in a shared flow state or a feedback loop with the broomstick. As you change, it changes, and it changes, you change. And in this way, you can keep the broomstick standing up vertically for, if you're really good at it, a long period of time. Now, we would all be better served by learning how to do that with a broomstick. But in the context of this video, our goal isn't to develop this skill in all dimensions, but at least in one particular dimension. That's the dimension of swordsmanship. And so we want to look towards maintaining a strong position the way that we would holding up a broomstick. So we'll get swords. Thanks for watching Historical Fencing Channel content. If you'd like to learn more, check out our Patreon link in the description for detailed, one-on-one, tailored instruction. And don't forget to like and subscribe.